Stargirl, episode 4. Jesus, episode 4, that's it. Episode 4, The Evidence. It's your boy Icon with a little DC TV goodness. Yes, good television is back. So, in this particular episode, it picks up where we left off when Starman got his ass whooped, and we don't know who whooped it. He was found face down in the dirt, and the cosmic staff immediately flew to Courtney and said, "Woman, get your behind up because Starman's in trouble." They find Starman, they bring her down to the hospital, who he was being treated by Beth's mom. And it was about time a scene like this happened, because with the whole thing about Beth's parents finding out and other parents finding out and everything, Courtney's mom works with Beth's parents. And there's never been a conversation about what their kids do when the sun goes down. So to actually see Beth's mom in a hospital room having a conversation with Pat and Courtney about the stuff that they do was very refreshing to see. And then they kind of made her mom feel bad because she said that she had wrote a report that said that, he was in a hit and run accident. But then Pat was like, that's not a good idea because now the police is going to be looking for an innocent person. And I'm just like, the woman was trying, damn it. You gotta give her, you gotta give her, give her a star for that. They bring back Dr. Mcknighter, the original Dr. Mcknighter. He comes back and he does an analysis on Starman's body because they said that he was actually healing very rapidly and they didn't understand why. So Starman wakes up, he's talking to Dr. Mcknighter, and then he's just like, "Oh, don't you miss the life?" And he was like, "Dear God, no." He said that I have a clinic, I have my son, and there's something going on with his son, because when Starman asked about his son, he kind of paused for a second as though he wanted to be like, "Yo, it's actually not going that well." But I guess we'll find more about that later. But he said that, his son is a handful and he's busy with the clinic. And he said that the biggest reward and satisfaction he ever got was passing the mantle on to Beth Chapel. And then that's when Starman was like, "Oh, I didn't do that." He's like, "If anything, I'm sharing the spotlight. I'm not passing it on." And then he asked him, he's like, "Sylvester, are you happy?" And he was like, "No." He did come up with a hypothesis, if you will, on how Sylvester came back to life. I still think he's a spy, but they said that because he's held the cosmic staff for all those years, him holding on to it, absorbing the power, absorbing the cosmic energy has now infused itself into his body. Sylvester has that cosmic energy in his veins. It courses through his bloodstream, and it was responsible for rejuvenating him and bringing him back to life, when he was supposed to be dead. The crazy thing about that was, so now that we're basically what they said, long-term exposure and to the radiation that the staff provides ends up affecting you in some kind of way. And nobody thought to tell Courtney that. Nobody thought to tell Courtney, like, "Hey, when you're holding the staff going forward, wear leather gloves." Like they didn't even consider that Courtney might be in jeopardy based on the exact same hypotheses. But whatever. So they, but that explains why he came back to life or whatever. So they were just like, yeah, he was just like, "But you got to pass it on to the new generation." And then Starman had some thinking to do. And then he's having a conversation with Courtney, and Courtney, she was like, "Well, going forward," she was like, "we have to rethink our agreement." She said that if you need the staff and I'm not around, you can take it. And he was like, "But that deal works both ways, kid." And that was said for a reason. So more on that later as the season progresses. The JSA now, they all go back to the scene of the crime because, Courtney had asked Starman, "Why did you go back to the trailer?" And he said that he was looking for clues because the criminals always go back to the scene of the crime, and there was a chance that we could catch them and we can get answers. So instead of that, the JSA Junior League, they go down to scout the area, and Beth did find a clue. She found a scale, a skin sample, and she said that if we analyze the sample and analyze the DNA, it'll tell us who the killer was and the person that attacked the gambler. So when both Dr. Mid-Nite and Beth do an analysis on it, they find out that the skin sample belongs to Dragon King, which is Cindy's dad. So we're in a storyline now where they're trying to say that Dragon King's back, came back to life. They were just like, "Oh, I thought Sydney killed him." And they was like, "Yeah, but the Dragon King has done so many experiments over the course of the years. Maybe he found a way to rejuvenate himself." So I definitely have a theory on this. Cindy immediately started freaking out when she, like when the skin sample came into play. And we find out later that we believe it came from her. She's been doing experiments on herself the entire season, doing concoctions, and we don't know why. She's been injecting herself with things, but we saw at the end of the episode, Cindy actually has green skin underneath her regular human skin. Now, is this a result of her using that concoction or whatever she came up with? Is that giving her the dragon power? Is it something that was always in her that her dad put into play? Or is her dad, did her dad secretly implant himself into Cindy and he's rejuvenating himself through her? Because for all we know, Cindy technically is the person who killed the gambler, but not because she's in control. Her dad is like in her mind or something, and her dad's controlling her. Because every time, because the thing is, if they said the Dragon King was around, if that was the case, if the Dragon King was truly around, why not just show his face at this point? There's a reason why they're not showing us who the Dragon King is. And I feel like the reason why they're not showing us who the Dragon King is because it is Cindy, but I don't think Cindy's in control of her own actions. I feel like her dad somehow implanted something in her, and she was at, and those experiments that Cindy was doing was her actually trying to undo whatever thing her dad put into her. She got mad at the end of the episode because when she saw the green scales, she was like, whatever she did wasn't working, and then she got mad and like knocked all the stuff off the table. So while Starman is recovering, we get a little bonding session between old villains and, you know, like and old heroes. So the Crusher, aka Sportsmaster, he found out that Starman got his brains beat in. He comes downstairs, offers him a beer. Starman tells him to kick rocks at first, but then, you know, that's when Sportsmaster, he was like, look, like back in the day, whenever my wife pulled the job, the one person on the team we didn't want to mess with was Starman. So he was just like, look, I just came here just to make sure you was cool, and I guess I'll be on my way. And they were just like, oh, you don't got to leave yet. We're watching an old Western, you know, have a beer. And then we sat down. Now, all of a sudden, Sportsmaster, Pat, and Starman, they're bonding. Tigress ended up going to Barbara's job to see how she was doing. And because remember, she spooked that one random white dude who was like picking on her. Like she spooked the hell out of him. So now he's agreeing to all the shit that Barbara wants to do. Tigress ended up giving Barbara a gift, which was either a fox, a hound, a rat, I don't know what, a raccoon, a stuffed animal of some sort, and put it on her desk. And Barbara was like, what the F? But it is cool to see the dynamic, because I gotta say this, like the Crocs are actually a breath of fresh. Like with the shade gone, the Crocs are filling that void of TV that I need. Yolanda, for some reason, her daddy lost his job, which is why she was allowed to work at the diner again, because I've been complaining about that all season, so I guess they shut me up. So now Yolanda, there's going to be a storyline where Yolanda's going to have to leave Blue Valley because her parents are poor. And then her mom get on my damn nerves, because her mom is just like, oh, I suppose you told all your friends that your dad lost his job and now we're poor. And I'm just like, it's all about social status with this chick. And my whole thing is, if your husband lost his job and if the family's in a financial struggle and your daughter's working at a cafe to put herself through college, why don't you get off your ass and get a job instead of pointing the finger at everybody else? You get on my nerves. So they planted that seed for Yolanda, so that's going to be something going forward. Later on, Rick and Yolanda end up going to Starman, and they were just like, hey, you know, Beth and Dr. Mid-Nite told us that Dragon King might be back. So we were going to go down to the tunnels to see if he still exists within the tunnels. And then Starman decided, he was like, what the F, why not? I'll roll with you. So Starman put on the suit, you know, he took the cosmic staff, and then he went down with the two of them to go find out, you know, if Dragon King is somewhere in the sewer. And the reason why he took the staff and why Courtney didn't go is because she's been hanging around with Cameron all episode, who is struggling with his cryogenic powers. Courtney went to see him. He did the classic, stay away or I might hurt you. And then she was like, you're not going to hurt me. And then he was like, ah. And then he busted some ice cubes. And then, you know, he cryoformed the room. And Courtney should have done a better job of being surprised. But, you know, she was just like, oh, I'm here for you. Like, I understand. And then she was like, I can help you control your power. And then then he ended up making a snow globe inside the room that they were in. And the two of them kissed and danced the night away. Meanwhile, there's trouble going on in Blue Valley and everybody else is dying. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And his parents even said that, oh, you have cryogenic powers just like the rest of the family, and we want you to carry on your father's legacy of being a hero. And I'm like, is that what we were calling what he was doing? Was that heroism? But Courtney's obviously not going to tell him, because he said that his grandparents don't want to tell him how his dad died. And Courtney doesn't want that either, because then he's going to freak out and then he's going to go after her brother, which both him and Jakeem were in the episode. They made a wish that backfired and a bunch of keys came out. So that's how the episode pretty much ended, along, like I said, with Cindy freaking out over the fact that she has green scales. And thank you for tuning in. So again, my prediction is it's Cindy, but it's not Cindy. Cindy is being controlled by her father somehow. whether her father planted something inside of her from when she was a baby that's now growing, whether he's going to, you know, rejuvenate himself through her. I don't know what's going on, but it is Dragon King. Like, it's going to end up being Cindy, but because there's going to be this whole thing now where Cindy's going to get into a fight with Yolanda because they're going to be like, oh, the dragon scales prove that it's Cindy, but it's not going to be Cindy. It's going to be Dragon King. It's going to be this whole big thing. And I'm looking forward to that, to see where this goes as the weeks progress. So thank you for tuning in as always. Like I said, share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. I already saw in the next episode that the Starman thing ends up going south because he's like, his temper tantrum is like, his temper, that's concerning to me. And the fact that he has an unnecessarily overblown temper is the only reason why I think he's still a mole. Because those people, the Red Skull people and the guy with the children and everything, even, Green Lantern daughter, she got a shout out too, because he was just like, oh, you absorb the cosmic energy the same way she absorbs the lantern, and then she's a living battery, but, so she coming back. But, yeah, but that whole organization with the Red Skull guy and the nanny with the kids and everything, like, I still feel like they got something to do with Sylvester, because his temper just don't make no damn sense. But share your questions and your comments down below. Hit me up on Twitter and or Instagram. Always on YouTube. Like I said, thanks for everybody that's checking out all my other reviews. We got She-Hulk on the channel for the people who like that kind of thing. That's the thing those people like. And we still got Cobra Kai on the channel as we await Titans. So that was it, guys. So till next week for some more Stargirl action. Keep your evidence close or hide it if you're in trouble. And until next time, we're at this bitch.